Salute, salute. Hey, what's going on, guys? Listen, we got a good discussion today, a good conversation. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing when the Cinderella story comes together, right? You know, when you hear stories about someone experiencing a crude disadvantage, and then you hear the story about someone riding that accrued disadvantage, right? This is a story that we're talking about today, right? Today we're talking about a story about this family right here. This family, right? You see them celebrating, right? For the first time in history, Los Angeles County, Los Angeles County made right with this family. What they decided to do was to give this family back land that was taken almost 100 years ago, right? And in this landmark move, not only did the family receive the land back, but they also were going to be now landlords for the Los Angeles County um, Fire Guards Department. And now they had an opportunity to start generating about $413,000 annually, right? So today we're going to have a discussion about the decision that they had to weigh between the next 2 years as part of their agreement to receive the land. They had to choose between receiving the $413,000 annually or selling the land for $20 million. So which decision did they make? We're going to have a conversation today with two real estate investors. And the real estate investors are going to really talk to us about some of the decisions that they would have weighed in this specific scenario. Imagine for a second, your family built two seaside resorts. And at the seaside resort, it was an opportunity for them to welcome people who weren't otherwise welcome in other area, right? So what happened was you had Willa and Charles Bruce in 1912. They bought two lots of land here at Manhattan Beach, California. And what happened was their primary intention was to create a resort that allowed Black people to be welcomed and gave them an opportunity to feel welcomed right there at Manhattan Beach. Over time, what happened is that these families were no longer welcome, and something happened, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. But before I get there, let me go ahead and welcome the first gentleman to our stream. He's a brother to the channel. He's not new here, and I'd like to welcome the Intentional Millionaire to the channel.
What is going on, Sim? How is it going? Salute. Welcome.
How's it going, Tim?
Everyone in the chat. How is it going today?
Man, great. So we're here to talk about this, man. That this is an interesting story, and I imagine you can relate. If you can imagine for a second, can you imagine receiving land that your great grandparents had, and now being the landowner after over 100 years, and having to weigh between the decision of keeping the land and charging rent, or actually selling the land to Los Angeles County in order for you to just be rid and be done with the property? Could you imagine being in that situation?
I would love to be in that situation. That would be a fantastic situation. Anytime that you can get a win, for what your ancestors done, I think that's always great. That's a great situation to be in. But on top of that, you get a chance to get some real estate that you didn't know was coming. Oh man, you can be nowhere but up in the clouds at that point. So absolutely.
Exactly. So yeah. So as an investor, we're going to talk about this today because I'm interested to hear your take on this, to see maybe from an investor standpoint how you would approach the situation compared to maybe how these individuals decided to deal with the property that the relatives left behind for them. Maybe before last year they had been fighting and they knew that the land had been taken from them, but I'm sure that they did not expect for it to be something that actually was carried through. So I'm interested to have this conversation with you. So tell us a little bit about your channel. What is your primary intent behind your channel? What is it that you're seeking at this point?
Okay, so my channel, for those of y'all that don't know or maybe new to the channel, my channel is called the Intentional Millionaire. And on my channel, what we do, we teach financial concepts. And the main thing is we focus on the two major areas. One is believing you're supposed to make more money, have more money, and you're going to do better. And then the next thing is how to execute on different financial strategies so you can move the ball forward so you can reach whatever financial goals you have for yourself. And we do that through mentor, coaching, and training. And in the process, we talk about, the three levels on how you need to look at your financial snapshot. That's what we do on the channel. So you meet it.
I appreciate you, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
So while we wait for, yeah, so I think that there's tremendous value in the information that can be learned from your channel. How long have you been an investor yourself?
I've been investing myself since 2008. Um, that was my biggest come up. Actually, it's a little bit older than that. I actually started investing back in 2006. 2006, but I had my biggest come up in 2008.
Now, do you have any commercial real estate on your portfolio?
No commercial real estate, but that's soon to be changed this year. So, but yes, my current real estate portfolio deals with residential real estate.
Got you.
Hmm.
Yep. So, this it's an interesting thing. So now, how familiar are you with the story of this family right here? How familiar are you with what happened with this? Do you recall last year this happening right here, where the Bruce family was returned the two lots of land right there in Los Angeles County, Manhattan County, excuse me, Manhattan Beach? Do you recall?
No, I don't. I don't personally recall. No, I don't.
Yeah. So today we're talking about the Bruce family, and like I said earlier, we had the family members who actually, what's interesting is that the Los Angeles County actually went through the trouble of creating a whole presentation for this family. Let me just go through it really quick so we can know who we're talking about, right? All right. So this is what I'm going to do. Give me a second. This is the family right here. This gentleman right here in the purple is the heir of the Bruce legacy. So his name is Anthony Bruce, and that's him right there with his wife, Sandra Bruce. But I want to share this other thing. Let me see if my other guest is ready. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. All right. So from what I have right here, right, what's interesting to me is this. So the the Los Angeles County actually went through the trouble of creating an entire presentation, you all. And what's interesting to me is that they went through all this trouble to do this presentation in order for them to, I'm not sure of the exact intention behind this. I can tell you this much, that can you see that? Can you see that, Tim?
Yes, I can see that.
All
Hmm.
right, let me fix that. All right, so here we go right here. So what we have today is, this is the family right here, right? This is Willa. This is Willa and Charles Bruce. Like I said earlier, in 19 1912 and 1920, they bought two lots of land. These two lots of land. Let me show you guys right here. Right here. Can you see that? Let's see. Let me zoom in.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, hold on. Let me zoom in right here. All right here. Two lots of land. Lot 8 and lot 8 and lot 9 were the two lots of land that were purchased by the couple right here, right? So this is the top of the hill right here, and so 26th Street's the top of the hill, 27th Street's the bottom of the hill. So they purchased this land, right? And the primary intent behind purchasing the land is to create an opportunity for Black Americans to go to a beach. Let me see. To have an opportunity to go to a beach. And what's interesting to me is that, one, that they were able to attain this land during the early 1900s, right? And I'd have to say that they had to have come from some kind of money in order for them to be able to buy this land way back then. Because during this time, this is just, what is it? Just 60 years after Emancipation Proclamation, right? 1865 to 1912. So give or take maybe about 60 years, right? So the Bruce family moved west as part of the Great Migration, right? And they wanted to participate in California and the American dream, right? Their primary intent was to build a resort to allow beachgoers, Black beachgoers from Los Angeles and beyond, to be able to go to the beach just like everyone else, right? This area became known locally as the Bruce's Beach, right? The resort was gaining popularity and started attracting Black beachgoers, right? And many of the white residents in the area started having an issue with it. So what happened was, now, because they were starting to become synonymous with being the go-to place in the area, the people in the area decided that it was not something that they wanted to have in the area, right? So they weren't the only Black family in the area, but they were the ones that were being associated with all the success that was happening in the area. And what was interesting to me is that you had in 1924, the local real estate agents and other citizens voted to condemn the Bruce's resort, right? And what happened was the city used a tactic that they use oftentimes in order for them to take over someone's land as eminent domain, right? And they said that what they wanted to do with the land is to build a park, right? So this is 1924, right? And in 1927, the Bruce family ends up being forced out, right? So they end up moving, and the city immediately demolishes the resort, right? And what happened was, in 1929, we also had right around the time for the Great Depression, right? So here you have this family who bought this land 1920, 1910, 1912. And so they've had this land, and so now they become synonymous with being the place to go. And what happens is, now the people in the area saying, no, we don't like the people in the area. We don't like these Black beachgoers being in this area. Let's figure out a way for them to no longer come here, right? So they end up being forced off. And then it says they immediately demolished the Bruce's resort at the time before the land value question was even settled, right? Because they didn't really pay them enough money for them to actually move off the land, right? And essentially what happened is that they demolished it prior to them being able to even fully evaluate the land, right? So the city actually held on to the property from 1929, and it wasn't until 1948 when the land was actually, the city had actually taken ownership of the land, and it wasn't until 1956 when the park was actually built on it. So we're talking about something about close to 30 years, right? And what's interesting to me is that you had a situation where you had people who had this park, and they had a thriving business, and they had people coming through, and there were people who were interested in the experience just like anyone else. And so now they have that land taken away from them. And in seeing that, for me, it was really, really heartbreaking because, you see a situation where it's not anyone who's breaking the law or doing anything that they're not supposed to do, but essentially it's just people who are minding their own business, essentially just trying to enjoy the fruits of their labor, just like anyone else. And what I see from situations like this is that you'll never have an opportunity for you to actually get paid anything for those properties, right? And what was unique to me about this situation is that the family did in fact actually get something. Like I said earlier, the family received the property as of last year, and there was work that was done prior to that. And I'm not going to go into the full story, but we're really just going to have a conversation about weighing the options between choosing to keep the land and choosing for you to actually sell the land. So given what I've just stated, Tim, what are your thoughts on the idea of someone having a business that caters to your demographic, right? And so now you have a business that's tailored to your people, and not only is it a peacekeeping area, but it's also people who are just interested in just enjoying life at the same level as anyone else, right? And could
Mm-hmm.
you imagine you now, some 15 years later, being forced off that same exact land that you bought, and then with the intent for you to build a resort for your people? Could you imagine that happening and then them justifying it with eminent domain?
Well, I guess in that times, yes, I can imagine that happening because that's what's kind of robbed us during that time of our chance for wealth, our chance for ownership and things like that, because it was rules that was working against us that would allow us to have ownership. However, in this day and time, I think even with ownership, we now got it. I'm just transitioning it now. I think now we have a chance for ownership, but we got to do a better job of when we own it, how do we keep it? And that's kind of a segue into kind of what we're going to talk about. But I say, yeah, I mean, I think it was a messed up deal. But I understand that it was during those times that a lot of the entire system as a whole did work against, African Americans. So, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, this just one case. We probably got more of our ancestors that should have probably benefited benefited or been in a situation like this, but because of the times and the rules and the bylaws, we just never got a chance to get our fair claim or get our fair share or even get what was owed to us. So the first thing I'd say, I think it was commendable for them to even take the time to go back and give them that level of that feeling and that joy of a level of ownership based off something that your ancestors done so many generations before you. So I think that in itself was a great thing.
Yeah. So salute PerryUnlikely. How's it going,
Salute.
sir?
Good, man. Having a little camera issues, man. I finally got it
Man,
worked out.
man, listen, we build it as we fly it over here. We build it as
Right.
we fly it. Listen, so I'm not sure how much you picked up, man. So in hearing some of the story about this family, um, can you imagine, Perry, your family gaining access to property way back in the early 1900s, right? And
Right.
15 years into owning the land, now that land is taken from you, and you're being forced off that land using eminent domain. Now you're a real estate investor as well, right?
Right. Correct. That is correct.
Right. So using eminent domain as the justification, right?
Mm-hmm.
The city took this land away from this family because what they wanted to do is they wanted to have access to this land. They didn't want them to continue to draw black beachgoers to this area. They didn't want this area to become infiltrated by black beachgoers who were sitting there trying to enjoy the life just like everyone else, right?
Right. Right. Correct.
Do
Absolutely.
you think that you could bring yourself to easily get off the land after you sat up there 1912, you bought one lot. In 1920, you bought the second lot. And your primary intention was for you to build this resort, for you to be a go-to destination, and for you to become synonymous with being able to cater to your people. Would you be able to go away peacefully, or would it be something that you'd have to go kicking and screaming to
Nah,
do?
kicking and screaming. I mean, yeah, I'm not giving up easy. I mean, may have to die for it, to be honest. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but because you got the weight of generations on you. I would anyway. I'm not saying everybody would, but when you set out to do that, just to me, it's no different than someone just thinking they're just going to take my rental properties. Just like, nah, we're going to take it. We want it. Nah, it's just not going to be that. But I understand times have changed, right? So they were presented with challenges where we might not be presented with those same challenges today. So I do understand that. But yeah, that's certainly something that you would never get over. It would, that obviously how they got to where it was at, because I'm sure that kept on coming up, over and over about how their land was taken from them.
Yeah. So today we're going to have a conversation about this real quick. So what we're doing is, let's see. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go to the chat really quick. Let's go to the chat. Let's see who we have in the chat. All right. Let's see. All right. So, all right. Salute, Uncle Stu. Let's see. Let me fix this. Give me a second. Let me see. All right. So salute, Uncle Stu. Salute. Appreciate you coming through. We're interested to hear from what you think, Uncle Stu. Can you imagine your family's land being taken away? Your family's land being taken away way back in 1927, and you having to fight in order for you to have an opportunity for you to gain access back to it. All right. Salute before the billions. Let's see. I don't know what happened. Salute. All right. Salute, Randy K. All right. Appreciate you coming through. Uncle Stu's is saying hello to everyone. All right. Randy's saying hello. So, Perry, So can you imagine now, do you own any commercial real estate yourself?
No, no commercial. Just like small single family and just like quad fourplexes and stuff like duplexes so far.
Right. So let's see what Randy says. She says, also curious to know if the unfairly increased property taxes, etc., once it was transferred to the rightful owners. I mean, this is a legitimate question, right? So
Right.
One of the ways that we know that a lot of people actually lose access to land is through the whole idea of the relatives or the heirs not being able to pay the taxes, right? So if someone inherits a bunch of land, right, they need to have the ability to be able to pay the taxes on said land, right? So I want to share something with you guys real quick. So that's a good question, Randy. I want to share something with you all real quick. Let's see. Here we go.
She did have another question too. She asked, what do we think the tax estimate would be on that property?
Yeah, so I'm going to pull up this document right here, and this will potentially help us out, right? And actually, I'll get you guys to help me out to go through it. All right, here we go. Let's see. Add this. Here we go. Bam. Can you guys see that? I don't know how much you can see.
Yeah.
You can see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me zoom in. All right. You should be able to see that. All right. So this is the document. So what happened was last year, right? So last year, the family was presented with this transfer agreement, right? So after the city council approved them receiving the property last year, and I'll put this this agreement in the description so anyone can look at it who would like to look at it. This is the actual agreement that the family signed, right? So what it says here is completing the return of the Bruce's Beach to the legal heirs of Charles and Wilma Bruce, right? and it refers to the lots that were taken, lots 8 and 9 of Block 5, right? Operated successfully seaside resort that was welcomed in 1924. A board of trustees voted to condemn the beach through eminent domain, right? Right? In 1929, the property was condemned. 1948, the city transferred the ownership to the state of California, right? The land remained in the state's possession until 1995, when the state transferred it to the county, right? As part of the larger transfer of 8 state beaches to the county, right? The transfer included statutory conditions that restrict the use and ownership of the land, right? This transfer in 1995, it restricted the use and ownership of the land, right? The county fire department currently uses the location for lifeguard operations, right? So going back to what we're saying, this is the document. This is the document that they've been going through, right? So this is the document that they were asked to sign. And what I'm getting ready to show you guys are the set of conditions that they gave them. They said, okay, we'll transfer this property over to you, but we got 2 things we need to do, right? We need to get you to sign on the dotted line, and then we need you to tell us within 2 years whether you'd like to rent out the property to us for the sum of $413,000 annually, or sell us the property for no more than $20 million. That was part of the condition that they needed to agree to that prior to them actually receiving the property, right? So we're gonna go back here, right? So right here, so Senate Bill 796 is the bill that was written that actually officially allowed them to be returned the property. They had to get the Senate, the California's state Senate involved in order for them to actually receive this, right? It was introduced to eliminate the statutory restrictions. Remember, the restrictions right here were saying that the statutory conditions restrict the use and ownership of the land, right? So in 2021, they voted to support that 796 bill. And then moving down. So here it is right here. In April 21, the supervisor upheld and proposed the return of the property to the legal heirs, right? That was in April 14, 2022. May 2022, they completed the process of figuring out who the heirs were, right? They confirmed that Marcus and Derek Bruce, the great-grandsons of Charles and Wilma Bruce, are the legal heirs. Marcus and Derek Bruce have caused the formation of the Bruce Family LLC to hold the property, right? So now, this is what I was talking to you guys about right here, right? The county staff negotiated a transfer agreement to return the property to the Bruces and a 24-month lease agreement with an annual rent of $413,000. And within 2 years, they needed to make the determination of whether they needed to sell the land, right? Sell the land for $20 million right here, or to keep the land. But the main trick, as investors, you guys can relate to this now, right? So this is a property that does not have, you cannot use the land for development, right? Let me show you guys the land, what it looks like here. You cannot use the land for development. It's literally just a park. It's what I have on the thumbnail. It's literally just a park. There's no opportunity for people to actually use the land for anything at all. And that's the part that's really unfair now. So you can't use the land for anything. And the permitting process by itself will cost you a significant amount of money. And so what's happened is that it's almost like they were kind of pushed into a corner, right? So now that the county says, hey, we'll pay you $413 for 2 years, or we'll go ahead and buy it from you for $20 million. So I'm curious to hear from you, Tim. What would you do in that situation? Now you're being presented with those 2 options. Either accept the lease for, because they lease the land for 2 years, right? Because they're using it right now for lifeguard training. But now they're being forced to decide between potentially leasing it to the county, because it's not guaranteed that the county will continue to use that land, or selling it for $20 million. In that situation, what would you do?
Well, do you want to know how I would respond to those terms and conditions in the contract?
Yeah. Let us know.
First thing I would do is I would go get me an attorney. That's the first thing I would do, because the any contract is normally written one-sided. That's a fundamental that I learned in the business. So you got to get it reviewed by somebody. This is what their expertise is in. Because the thing about that is, the first thing with any type of real estate, you have to know the contract so you can negotiate. See, because I think they knew that it was a lack of understanding, so they knew they probably wasn't going to negotiate, and they used their hand to force them to get them the land. So it was almost like they honored, the ancestors, the Bruces that started the beach and things like that. They honor that, but in the same token, they came in with a strong arm to get it right back. That's really what they done. So to me, it was a bait and switch. Now, are they going to get something out of it? Absolutely. But you still got to know that that's what that sounds like to me. So that's what I would have done. That's what the first thing I would have done is I would have took the contract and had it reviewed by an attorney, and then asked that attorney that specialized in contracts as it relates to real estate, particularly, waterfront type real estate. I would have then had them consult me on what would be my options, or how can I go, what can I do to go back to the state with.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, man. I mean, literally, it almost seems like optics, right? It almost seems like they're just doing it just for looks, because
Right.
in one breath, I'm giving you the property. In the next breath, I'm pushing you into a corner and I'm saying you can't use this for anything, right? And just think about all the other situations where people are. Let's say maybe the Wheel of Fortune, right? So the Wheel of Fortune awards you a car, right? And they say one of the biggest challenges that people experience, they say before you actually leave the Wheel of Fortune, you're supposed to pay taxes on that stuff. If you can't pay the taxes on the stuff, you actually have to just forfeit the prizes. And so that's the wildest part. So let me hear what Perry has to say about this. So
yeah, so I'm with Intentional on that, and I wonder if they use lawyers, because something's not adding up. I know in real estate, right? It's almost like they set it up to where the land's no good to you, right? So you're going to end up turning it back over to us. And I do know, that's why I'm curious. I know in real estate, you have the bundle of rights, and I know one of them is, well, it's like, disposition. There's a couple of them. Enjoyment is one of them. So you have a right to enjoy your land. So how are you going to give it to me with the restriction in a way that I can't even enjoy it? Which was, and what more so I would think in a legal sense would be, because beach land literally is precisely for enjoyment. I mean, it doesn't get any more enjoyable than that. So that's why it's like a janky deal that was to make them look good. And the first thing I'm doing is getting a lawyer. It's one of those things where it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate the gesture. But if we're going to accept it, because here's the thing is, it's almost one of those things where you got to use the media to set them straight from the get. Like, really, there should have been this type of information should have been exposed up front, as if to say, look, we're basically being put in a situation where they're going to look like they're giving us this land back. Because I remember when that was all announced, and it all sounded real good. I had no clue that there was this attachment to it that basically made it, I mean, it's not worthless, but if you can't really enjoy it and do what you want with it, now with the 400 and I think 13,000, they were going to get that for 24 months, right? And then after that, they were going to probably have to, if the county didn't lease it out, they have to find someone else to lease it. Is that correct?
Yes, and the challenge is that the challenge is that the land uses that are allowed at that specific location is the biggest impediment. If we look, I'm going to show you guys in just a second exactly what that plot of land looks like. All the other areas, which I'll show you here just in a second.
Okay.
All the other areas, all the other areas are developed. It's just
Right.
this plot and maybe one additional one. Let me show you guys this real quick here. So here, I think that is really interesting because you, excuse me, you you have a situation where you're supposed to have access to this land, but like you just said, it is a textbook bait and switch,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to
Yeah,
show.
and I think they done that because they knew who they see. Because this the thing we have to know about current times. Companies do reconnaissance on people also,
Oh, they sure do. They know.
and I guarantee you they did some type of reconnaissance on the family, and the two people that's mentioned in the transfer, and they probably knew they had a chance that they probably wouldn't challenge anything in the contract.
Right.
Or they probably knew that they probably won't gonna have the resources to be able to afford an attorney to actually go through it.
Yeah.
I just believe because you can get fired via a text message or via Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure, I can gather some reconnaissance so I can make this contract sing in my favor.
Right. And also I just want to say, if they offered to pay him 413,000, then it was worth more than that. Even at a lease, it was
Hmm.
probably 6 or 7. And I would have just got what you could have gotten with a real estate agent and said, okay, if they're going to leave, where are you going to go? A fire department has to be in this. I mean, you can't just take it anywhere, right? It's not like you can go to another county. It's got to be in this precinct area or whatever. So it's like, let's start looking at where, if they're not going to have it here, where are they going to go? And where else are they going to do their lifeguard training? Because you got to start thinking, if they're going to try to play us, how easy is it going to be for them? You just have to really start weighing out that stuff, and that's why it's so important to get a lawyer to help you weave through that. But see, that's what happens a lot of time. People, especially when you have a situation like this, and someone's giving you land back, the emotions and all that, you're looking at it like it's a gift. But anytime tax or anything like that's tied to it, it's it can be a gift if you know how to handle it the right way. But it's not no gift when there's something that you're going to have to pay on the back end, regardless of what it is, and you got to have the right people to kind of to coach you through it. This was a feel good story, is what this was for the county.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here we go right here, right? So as we can see right here, when we're looking right here, you see in between the white car and the red car, that's the sign right there that says Bruce's Beach, right? And so that's the sign right there that says Bruce's Beach. So the lot, like I showed you guys here, all right, we're building this as we fly it. So let me share my entire screen. Bad guys. All right, here we go. Bam. All right. So add this back. Okay. All right. So here, this is there's a sign right here that says Bruce's Beach. So like I showed you guys earlier, here, this is the lot right here. The lot. They have lots 8 and 9 here, right? Oh man. So they had lots 8 and 9. They had lots 8 and 9, and then the other lots that are in yellow, 6, 4, and 1, were also other properties that were owned by other black families. And so now the effort is to also allow these families to regain access to this land, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so all of this work that was done, all of the publicity, all of the measures that were taken, you know, in in what like seemed like just really like a dog and pony show. It just seemed like they were doing all of that only for them to be able to say, "Hey, we gave the land back, but we're not legitimately allowing people to have the land use of this area." This is what I want to share with you all right here. This is what the attorney said. The attorney said, this is the attorney that represented the family. Right, so here we go. The attorney that represented the family, this is what he said. He says, as part of the agreement, the Bruce family had a 2-year window. They required the county to buy back the property from them. And they decided just to do that. Right? He says that the sale was unexpected, and the family had always wanted the option to sell the property back to the county. He emphasized that the sale was still a victory for the Bruce descendants, who would no longer have the land their grandparents were robbed of, but instead the money that they should have inherited, right? So he's saying that they would not have had access to the property. They would have actually just been in a situation where they just had the money. They wouldn't still be controlling and having the land at this point. So here we are, close to, actually we're over 100 years later, you know. And I think that's a presumptive position to actually take as an attorney, for you to say, hey, that more than likely, it's a high likelihood that the family would not even have possession of it, but they would just have the proceeds from it. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that makes sense? I mean, I know the likelihood is probably slim for people to be able to control and hold a property that long, but do you think that an attorney is in position for him to say that the family wouldn't be in control of it, that more than likely that they would just have the proceeds from it and not the actual money? What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I think the attorney will be willing to say that if the attorney was represented, he was handpicked by the state or the county, which I guarantee that's what he was, because the word in itself doesn't make sense, because it said they never knew they was going to actually get the land. So how could they have plans to sell something and they never knew they was going to even get the land?
Yeah, I mean, he's saying here that they wanted, he says the family has always wanted to have the option to sell the property back to the county.
Right, but how did they ever have that option where they never had the land from the start? Is my point.
Right. Yeah.
How was the family considering that option when they never even had the land? They was fighting to get the land.
Yeah, the attorney. Stop the cap. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. That's crazy. Yeah, like you said, what a presumption. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. That is crazy. And see me, I'm an investor, man. I'm already like, look, if I'm in a sticky spot, and I'm gonna get a lawyer, so it's not even gonna happen. But I'm already like, look, I got 8 and 9. I'm gonna take the one closest to the water. Y'all give me 10 million, and I'll figure out what I'm gonna do with with spot whatever 8 or whatever's closer to. Although they can't necessarily develop it, what they should have done, if the other land plots were gonna be done the same way, they should have all gotten together and got an attorney and sorted through that. Is what should have happened.
Yeah, because I mean, so like I said right here, this is 26th right here. This is the top. This is 26th right here, based upon this map right here. This is 26th right here. So this is 26th Street right here, and that's 27th down there at the bottom. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Down there, that's 27th down there. So based upon this right here, this is lot 10 right here. Then they have 8 and 9, and then they have these other 3 right here. And so it is a situation, just like you said, Perry, where now they don't have the opportunity to actually negotiate and even talk to anyone. They were the first ones to actually have an opportunity to gain access to their land. So, I mean, they can't really congregate and team up with any other landowners because they're doing one group or one section at a time, you know? So,
by design. Yep.
Right?
By design.
By design, right? So if you're the first one to gain access to the property, how are you going to be able to congregate and team up with the other landowners that I showed you all here? The other landowners here to actually say, hey, listen, we're supposed to figure out, we're going to team up because it's a total of five lots that are supposed to be entitled to Black landowners, but only these 2 have been greenlit, 8 and 9, you know? So right. I just think that it's a difficult situation because now they don't have the actual bargaining power. And just like you said earlier, when you're not there to actually like fight and advocate for yourself, let's say maybe you live, because this gentleman right here doesn't even live here. This gentleman right here, he lives all the way, excuse me. This gentleman right here lives all the way in Florida. So if he lives in Florida, how is he going to be here to actually advocate for himself? He actually had to have his cousin to actually advocate for him in order for him to be fighting, in order for them to gain access to this property. And it's just a challenging situation. And it's a textbook example of them taking advantage of the fact that you're not able to be there to advocate for yourself. You're in a completely different state living your life. And they're going to say, hey, we're going to give you the land back, but you need to figure out how to pay the taxes. You need to figure out what the land is going to be used for. And you need to figure out whether or not you want to sell it to us.
Right.
Right. In all actuality, it's the new way, the same way it was took away from their ancestors. This is just the new age way of doing it currently.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
You get some good publicity with it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because now the family has up until the end of this month to actually decide whether or not they actually want to sell the land. And then,
right.
I mean, first they have to be in a financial position to be able to fight the city, right, through zoning and permitting in order for them to be able to gain access to potential leasing opportunities for this land. And like as I've showed you guys here, look at this right here. There's nothing there. Nothing there. It's nothing but grass. So you need to go through the zoning process to even have an opportunity for you to be able to build anything there. And like I said to you earlier, guys, right here, this land is actually, it has land use restrictions, right? And as investors, you guys know that the zoning process is a costly process that you actually go through. And especially in cities, in places like California, where there's significant amount of red tape that you have to jump through. You know, you have to make sure that you get the economic surveys done. You have to make sure that you do the impact studies for the local area. I think that there's just significant hoops that you actually have to jump through. I recall, I don't know if this was something that we were discussing here on the panel, but they said that the process of actually building in California is a lot more difficult than anywhere else in the country. All right.
Right, but I think that's a nuance though, because everybody else is stuff built around it. They still had to go through the process.
Yeah, and I'm also, I mean, really, they could have just used publicity, honestly, to get this.
Right.
Because here's the deal: it's like it's going to be in the paper that, hey, nah, this is a hoax. They're not allowed. I want the same rights that my ancestors had to develop the land. Because you give me the land, I can't do nothing. That's like if you tear down my family's restaurant business and then you give me the land back, but say, oh, you can't put a restaurant there. Well, I can't put the recipes to work. Nope. Where is the media, right? Where is the media, the righteous media now, right? Who, like, it's like you can see all this stuff about tearing people down, but when you can start to write and get to the real heart of the story to explain some of this stuff that's just crooked, no one's anywhere to be found. It's a shame. It's crazy.
Can't hear you, Sim. You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
It's an interesting thing in seeing all of the stuff that happens. I mean, just think about all the hoops that like I said, that we go through today. And now you receive the land, and then in June they received the land. They received their payment of $413,000, and then now they're left with this decision to make. Hey, what are we going to do? Are we going to sell it? We're going to keep it. And they decide to ultimately just sell it because they're just giving up. They don't want to sit up there and fight the city or the county. They just decided to just give it up and said, hey, we'll let you go ahead and pay us $20 million. Now, does $20 million seem like a fair price to you guys? What do you think, Tim? Does that seem like a
No.
fair price if you had to decide on something that your family had close to 100 years ago? What would be your price given this beachfront property? If I was to guess, I'd say probably the average house price in this area is probably, I can look it up here in a second, probably $10 million. $10 million. What do you think? Do you think that 2 lots of land it's a fair price for them to be paid $20 million for 2 lots of land?
No, I would just take a look at some for me, I would just do some recon and look at historicals. I would look at 10-year increments going back to as far as I can and just see what how much money was missed from when my ancestors was forced off of the land.
Right.
And then that will give me an idea. And I would just only look at just the land. With a land with the resort, let's just say a land with, let's just say a house. I would just consider a house on the 2 lots or 2 houses on the lot. And then I will work the numbers back to what if my ancestors kept it and then it came to me, how much that would have had generated in income. And then that would give me a staple on, then I would factor in inflation, and then that would probably be my number.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here we go. Check it out. Check it out. So look, here we go, guys. So we have some houses that we're going to take a look at right here, right? Now, this land, oh, this land is going to be, okay, here we go. This is on 26th Street. That's what we said, right? 26th and Ocean. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah. Huh.
Okay, all right. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Here we go. This is 26th and Manhattan Avenue, right? So let's see, 26th and Manhattan Avenue. Manhattan Avenue. So here we go, right here. Let's see. All right. So let's look and see how much this land is. Will this work? It says there's 49 houses for sale in the area. I don't know what just happened. Here we go. All right. So if we're looking here, so here we go, Tim. So these houses, this house right here, look at this house right here. It's $8.3 million, right? Look at this. Look at this. Look at it. Can you guys see?
Mm-hmm.
You see the address right here. Can you see the address?
Yes.
Okay.
That's crazy. And that, look at that. Oh my goodness, that lot, man. That is nuts, man. That's a small. That's a pretty small lot, man.
Right.
441.
Because the thing is, they did the smart thing. They took the smart lot instead of trying to go with width. They went up.
Right. Correct. Yep.
I mean, that's 3,500 square feet. Let's see if we can get that map right here.
Yeah, that's not a very big lot.
All right, guys. So remember what I said, guys. Remember I said 26th Street, right? So here we go right here. 26th Street. This is 26th Street. What we got? 26th and Ocean Drive or Manhattan Ave, right? So here we go. 26th. This is 26th and Vista. Let's see where we're at. 29 is Vista, Alma, Bay, Manhattan.
Right, which is closer to the beach. So that's even closer to the beach.
So this one is, so the beach is here, right? So right. The beach is here, and this one is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could say maybe 8 blocks away, right? 8 blocks away. My God, right? 8 blocks away. 3,500 square feet lot. I mean, you got to give it up. I mean, it went up, but that's serious right there. So the beach is all the way back there at the back, right there, all the way at the back. And this lot right here, this can't be the house. This got to be maybe a drone shot that's a little bit closer. But I mean, look what's possible there. Beautiful home. Yeah. Beautiful home. So this house right here on 3,500 square feet, is $8.4 million. And this is a house, if we were to guess, this house was built in 2022, right? So we're talking about a house that was built recently. Now we're talking about property that's been there over 100 years. You mean to tell me that this house that was just built this past year is valued at the same as a piece of parcel that's been there over 100 years? You know,
Right.
it's just wild for me to sit up there and think that the valuation would be even remotely even comparable, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so,
Absolutely.
so, I
So,
mean, that's one of the more expensive lots right there. This 5th Street, 26th Street. This is Manhattan. This is right. This is actually right next door, right here. Right here, Manhattan, 1.2. So
It's crazy.
actually, no, Manhattan. Where's the park at? Manhattan, 26th. So no, this is not. This is not same area.
that's a different Manhattan.
That's a different Manhattan. There's 26th. We said 26th.
Yeah, that
Actually,
was
this might be a
that.
different,
Yeah, that's
completely
a
different area.
different Manhattan because that's Manhattan Beach Boulevard. The other one I think was Manhattan something else.
Oh, just Manhattan Avenue. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
Manhattan Avenue. Okay,
Hmm.
all right. So that's not the same thing, right? So that's 1.2. So this land, a parcel that was 8 blocks away. Look at this one right here. That's Manhattan Beach. It's not the same thing. Hold on. That's High View.
That's
That's
it right there. The 1.9. Go down. Right there. Right there.
Marine
That's
Avenue. That's actually
Manhattan. Is that
no, that's
Manhattan?
Marine.
No, that's Marina. Okay.
I think that's
It's kind
close
of
though.
blurry. Yeah.
That's close. But you know, when we look right here, it's 29th Street. 29th Street. That's not too far away. 29th Street, 6.2 million. Ocean. Hold up. This is it right here. Ocean Boulevard. Remember I told you guys $5 million. Look at the lot, guys. Look at the lot. Oh my God.
That's crazy.
1,300. 1,300 square. Oh my God. This is on a different block. But I mean it's so Ocean. So here's the park right here. So the park is right here, guys. The park is right here.
All right.
Oh, hold on.
So
I
you
was I,
looking
I,
at
I
it?
was wrong.
The
Oh,
lot
actually, hold
that
on. I'm
the
looking at
lot
it
that
wrong.
they got, it looks like both of the lots together is 7,000 square feet.
That's what it says.
I was looking it up. Yeah, it looks like those together, theirs are seven. The ones that they're selling back are 7,000 square feet.
All,
So
all
seven.
together. So it's
Yeah.
3,500
Yeah,
a
I think
piece.
it's about 3,500 a piece. Yeah, is what it
So
looks like.
so it looks like just looking at the numbers, they looking at least 6 million between the two for both of them.
You
Right,
know,
and that's not been and nothing's been done to it either. So yeah, yep,
Right? Because if that's five and
but I
that's
mean, if
22.
if you can
right,
build a $5 million parcel on half of that, close to half of that. I mean,
yeah,
1,300 square, a lot that's 1,300 square feet. That's
yeah.
crazy.
That's crazy.
How is that even
So
possible?
so imagine
It's
how much.
connected to another one. You see that?
So imagine how much money they
Missed out on.
actually getting pimped out of.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what I'm
it's
saying.
crazy.
So how would this work right here? Y'all see how it connects right there?
I don't think it's actually connected. I think it's the actual shot.
Yeah,
You think so?
yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I
probably
think
some
it's the
distance
shot.
between it.
I wish they didn't have that border. I mean, it's a nice spot, but look at that kitchen, man. Can two people fit in there? Man, it's a
Tight.
battle. It'd be tight, right? Two slim people. Big Shirley can't be in there with you. All right.
Making them grits and eggs.
Right.
For real, right? All right, all right. Here we go. Hold on. Let me see. All right, so let's go to the chat real quick, man. I don't know, guys. Geesh, I mean,
So it shows you that what you proved though that 20 million definitely ain't enough.
Right.
That's for sure.
I mean, the idea of it's just wild, man.
Even if you just take let's just take up the low end. Let's just say we do 30 years at $1 million. That's still 30 million that they either way you look at it, even if you just be very, very ultra conservative, they still getting duped out of the potential that they lost and the potential that they can have.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Let me see. We're gonna go to the chat real quick. Let's go to the chat. What does Randy K say? Randy says, For these prices, I wonder if they're regulating homelessness in these areas. Come on, Randy. Now, do you think that they even have room for homeless people in this area?
That's
Like,
California. They ain't regulating that.
I mean, in this area, this is an exclusive area. I mean, I think they have homelessness, but I think this is like a vacation area. This is like this is supposed to be like premier property. From what I understand, like this is almost like the cream. I
They're
mean,
not
I'm
really regulating the homelessness. California has a problem with that, just like Seattle and just like Hawaii.
You know,
yeah.
and if you look at, I pulled up and looked on Google Maps. There's literally, there's nowhere. There's nowhere else. It's crazy that that land is there. If that wasn't the counties, there's zero chance that would have been available because I can see where they put an actual like lifeguard building on the
Mm-hmm.
front part near the actual beach, and outside of like a field called Dorsey Field and like what they use for like recreation, it's literally 100% covered. That's the only place you could build there. They would make a fortune because anybody else who wanted to build a home there, that's their only option. Period. For what looks
Right.
like on the maps, looks like miles. There's no other option to build a home at all. It's crazy.
Right. So just to piggyback off what Perry said, think about the house that just was built in 2022
Yeah,
that's 8 blocks behind for 8 some million.
yeah. Your only option is you got to buy $1 million home to tear down to build one. There's no there's
Right.
no there's no building from the ground up except for in those spaces right there. That's crazy.
All right, guys, hold on, man. This is. I mean, I could only imagine. This is one of the situations where it pays to be in position, right?
Yeah,
This is crazy. Look at this, guys. $18.2 million. $18.2 million. Let's see where this is at.
and it's 2,900 square feet. Jeez.
So look. So where we at? 14th Street. So we're in 14th Street now. This is cream, right? This is right there in front of the beach. $18 million. So this property, subject property, is here, here, here. Subject property is here. So if we're zooming out, subject property is here. So we're gonna say this is on like 15th. Well, actually, this is on essentially 14th. The 14th Street. This is on 26th Street. So, but let's just go down this wild path for a second, right? This is
Mhm.
beachfront. So if they were if they were to be placed if they were to be placed here on this block, let me see. If they were to be placed on this block, 26th Street, let's go right here. Let's go back here real quick. If they were to be on 26th Street, let's see. 26th Street is here. So hold on. Maybe I'm looking at this all wrong.
You know how you know
26.
it's you know how you know it's crooked? What they
What?
did? How you claim eminent domain, but I mean, you had all these other options that looked the exact same beside of it. They're all the exact same block sizes all the way around. You just selected that specific place. You could have used it for whatever purpose they want it for anywhere. So they were very selective with whose they took. I mean, you could tell. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, to me, I think that even this property right here, this is the $18 million property right here. And
Yeah,
what did you say, Perry? 2,900 square foot lot. The house itself is 4,500 square feet.
that's
Four
crazy.
bedroom, 4.5 bath. Oh my God, guys! Only 4 bedroom. $18 million. Who can afford that?
Yeah,
This
that's
house was
crazy.
built in 2008, and let's see, what did I do? I was going to look at the pictures. All
Can you
right, here we
imagine
go.
the insurance on that?
I mean, $18 million. How much is insurance for a given property? How much of
Mm.
a
On
Well, I'm
that
just
one,
saying because it's waterfront and it's 18 million. So
yeah. Wow.
I mean, this was built in 2008. I mean, can you imagine the person who was able to build this? I would love to look at actually the tax records on this right here to see how much they actually paid for it. Because if it's worth 18 million and it was 2008 when it was actually purchased, I'd say that it was more than likely they paid a lot less for it. Maybe $2 million. It's got the whole beach feel. What do you guys think? Chat. Do you think that it makes sense for this family to be getting paid $20 million? And they left no room for negotiation, right? So there's no option for them to negotiate as per agreement, transfer agreement. Here we
I
go.
wouldn't
What's
be
that?
surprised if once the city get it, they gonna build on the land,
What? I mean,
and
not
they
only
gonna.
could they, I mean, they're not going to use it for affordable housing, of course, but I mean, I can see them just building a facility for themselves, state of the art
Mm-hmm.
facility.
What's that address?
1408 Strand, like hair strand,
Hmm.
Manhattan Beach.
Man, that's good living right there.
Listen, man, listen. You're living all kinds of backwards. Look how close your neighbor is, though. You can see them going to the bathroom and everything. I mean, it's literally only enough room for 2 sets of steps in between the house. That's how close you are to your neighbor. $18 million for you to be maybe 8 feet away from your neighbor.
Yo, I got you right here. Just so people understand in the chat, whatever a home is, whatever a home is valued at tax wise, that's not what it sells for. That's just like for tax. It's basically the values based off of like the land and then the structure, just from like a tax standpoint. They typically are going to sell for more than that. So that particular that particular piece of land looks like it was valued at the land at 4.7 million by itself. And then it says the improvements 2.28 million, so 2.3 million almost. So total, it's $7 million is what they're saying the total value is. Of course, it's worth way more than that because it's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. But that's what it's saying about the land. I'm trying to look and see where I'm not familiar with California like I am Georgia, their tax, whatever, but I'll be able to find it here
You
in a
should
second.
be able to look at the sales.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I'm trying to look at the actual because I'm actually looking at the land with Los Angeles County, but I'm just trying to look and see what the actual taxes or whatever. I just said look at their tax rate. I'll be able to tell exactly what they pay in taxes on it, which is probably crazy.
I mean, it's a nice property. I'm not saying that it's not nice, but man, 18 million, 18.2 million, man.
Right.
I mean, that price alone just cuts off a whole lot of people. I want to see if I can find a house that's right next door to it. I mean, it's so hot that there's not even no room for another one on Strand. It's 4.8 million. 2nd Street. What I can say is that these properties, the lowest price I've seen, Tim, have you seen? Well, hold on. There's one. No, that's not. That's Los Angeles. I'm not seeing no properties that are less than $1.9 million in the Manhattan Beach. That's the other part. No properties that are less than $1.9 million. And here we go right here. Here goes something similar. It's on 28th. I don't know if let's see. It's on 28th Street, $6 million. Nah, that's on Marine Ave. I don't know if that's close. Let's see. Nah, that's 28th, but it's supposed to be 26th. 26th. It's a different part.
So even if you do on the low end, let's just say the 1.9 times 30 years, we just say 2 million times 30 years, that's still 60 million.
Yeah, man. It's and the interesting part about it is this, that they don't actually gain it. So let's say that they have a land use. Let's say that they have to have a land use. They have a land use agreement, right? So right here, I want to pull up the calculation, guys. Let me pull up the calculation for land use. Oh man, hold on. Struggle streaming. All right. Anyway, so I'm going to pull it up in a second. I'm going to pull up the calculation for the land use. And what I'm discovering is that land use is not in any way, shape, or form related to the value. So you know how in real estate, you know how in residential real estate you want to follow the 1% rule. There's nothing like that for commercial real estate. Essentially, the real estate is worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it. And so they pay you in this situation $413,000 annually, and then that money would actually go towards you as the landlord actually developing it. You know how they do a build to suit. So you would build it to suit whatever their model is, and then you would charge them rent every single month. But essentially, it's up to you as a landlord to actually build it on their behalf,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would receive a percentage of whatever their use for the property is. So, anyone in the chat, what do you guys think? Would you have anyone in the chat? Would you have, if you had the choice to choose between receiving $413,000 annually or selling the property for $20 million, which one would you choose? Now, if you believe that you would have done the first one of selling it for $413,000, type 1 in the chat. And if you would have sold the property for $20 million and just have your hands tied with it, put a 2 in the chat. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. From a
Hey, by the
personal
way,
standpoint, I don't know if I could bring myself to actually sell the land. Now, if I found that the city actually had all kinds of land use restrictions that I could not utilize, that would take a long time for me to get permitting, then I would try to figure out a way. Because to really think about it, if we really go back to this right here, if we look, these lots right here are barren. Let's say, maybe for instance, let's say that this is the top one right here where these cars are at, the red and white car at the bottom. Let's say that this is lot 10, like I showed you guys earlier. Excuse me, no, I was wrong. The family's land is actually 26 is at the top, because when we looked at the map right here, 26 is actually at the bottom. I was looking at, actually 26 is actually not even at the bottom. I was looking at it wrong, guys. That's why we build it as we fly it. Here we go. Bang. All right, here we go. 26 is actually an adjacent street. So they run up and down. They run north and south. Did I say north and south? They run up and down along the beach. So I was looking at it wrong. So if I'm going back here, 26. So 26th Street is here, and then 27th is here. So the lot actually runs parallel to the street. So if we were looking at this specific block and going back to this picture right here, that family's lot is actually right here. So where this left red car is at, that's maybe one lot. And then where this behind that red car and in front of that pickup truck is probably the second lot. Do you guys see that?
yeah.
Because it seems like the lot actually runs parallel to those streets and not actually the other way around, right? So what did you find out, Perry, what that lot might be worth?
Yeah. So, man, that's crazy. So the taxes are, well, there's two ways of looking at it. The original taxes would be about 35,000 a year.
For that, oh, my bad. For which subject property? The 18 million?
That's for the 18 million.
All right, go ahead.
Would be about 35,000 a year. But as of 2016, it looks like they added on some special assessment for like schools or whatever. So that takes it from the normal 0.5% up to 1.09%. So they're paying about 76,000 a year on taxes on that $18 million one. That's a lot of taxes.
So Tim, what do you think about that? Do you think that it's possible that the family was scared of the fact that they're paying $76,000 in taxes? Is that something that could have potentially ran them off, as opposed to sitting up there figuring out how they can be landlords for this property? Would you be
Well,
willing?
first thing,
Go ahead.
I think we conflating because that's based off of the 18 million of that property. That
Oh,
property has a house on it, so I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah, it has a house on it, so it's not going to be at that cost. But they're gonna pay. I mean, it's hard to say, but they're going to pay somewhere in between. I would think they're looking at somewhere, for both of those, probably 15, maybe 1,000, 10,000, 15,000, and that's a guess. I don't know that, but I would say it'd probably be somewhere that, especially with no structure on it or whatever.
All right. So yeah, because look right here, right here. So that property that was 18 million, right? That property that was 18 million was actually on a different block, guys. So it wasn't even the same. I mean, that's the highest and probably best use for this. To me, this is probably one of the more practical
But
outfits right here.
you know what? I can get the now that I think of it, I can just go and get the
The taxes for that specific
I can just
property.
get the tax for that one.
I can give it to you. It's I can give you the exact address. It should be. I'll pull it up in just a second. Let me see.
All right.
Where is that? So I mean that property right there in nearby area, because remember we said that this one was just up the block, right here. This one is 8.3, and what did you say? The lot size is 35. That's exactly half. So that's probably one of the lots that Perry was saying earlier. So that's 3,500. All right. So same general area, but it's just up the block. Just up the block. All right. So the address. Let me pull up the address real quick.
All right.
Let me pull it up. All right. So Bruce's Beach address. All right. I got 2600 Highland Avenue.
All right. Let's see. You said 2,600
Highland Ave. Let's see if I can figure this out. All right. So we're gonna go to the chat real quick. Here we go. So what does Randy say? Randy said, "Oh, hold up now, hold up." Randy says that I would take the $20 million and go further and invest in the inner cities, huh? I don't know, Randy.
I mean, I'm not mad at that. If you like I say, if somebody's got a plan, right? I mean, it's really, I think it's all about what are you ready for the fight, right? To stay.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely did not create an environment where they make it easy for you to take advantage of the property.
Right.
I can definitely say that they make it a little bit challenging. If I was looking in Zillow, hold up, 2,600 is that? Hold up, that's not right, Perry. It says
I was gonna say I'm not seeing it.
I don't know why it says that. It says that's the address that it says. Bruce's Beach Services, 2,600 Highland Avenue. But I'm looking at it says it's the 800 square foot bed, one bath, sold in 2015.
I'll be able to find it because if nothing else, I know where the little lifeguard thing is at, so I'll be able to find it. I'll be able to get that exactly.
Okay, so Randy, you would sell your position and just go ahead and invest the money. I mean, how long would it take if you had 20 million to split between two family members, right? Now, an inheritance, then wouldn't you be subject to capital gains if you sold that property? You would be subject to capital gains unless you bought it, unless you bought it inside a trust, right?
That's correct.
What was that, Tim?
I say that is correct.
Right? Unless you purchased it inside a trust. And I'm tempted to believe, like you were saying, I mean, the attorney's probably someone that the county helped them choose.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm not, and I'm telling you what, I'm not paying capital gains either by the time I'm through. Because y'all shouldn't have taken it. We didn't intend it. Now, yeah, if you sell it, yes, at that point. I mean, I
Well, but I
guess,
mean, they're
yeah, I
not
guess,
selling at a market rate, though.
yeah,
But it
that's,
doesn't
yeah,
matter
yeah,
because they
right. It doesn't
consider
matter.
income.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
it's still
considered
income.
ordinary income.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't. It's still income.
Now, if they had it probably tailored correctly, if they let's just say if they had it not go directly to them but to a trust
1031.
itself,
Mm-hmm.
then that's different.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You're right.
Now, could you do a 1031 exchange?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can definitely do that.
Yeah, they could definitely do that. But still, they probably ain't gonna do that.
I mean, because don't a lot of deals. I mean, we talk about 20 million. So we're in apartment complex conversations right now, right?
Right.
And one of the challenges that I'm hearing, I've even heard Grant Cardone, right, talk about how he has to present a letter of intent to the previous owners of these properties and specify what he's going to use the property for, why he wants to be able to buy the subject apartment complex. So now you're at the mercy of the previous sellers and whether or not they're willing to actually sell you the land. So even a 1031 exchange might be even tricky, man, because you want to go into a bigger deal. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I think that this still depends on the deal itself and the funding aspect. I think Grant Cardone is doing something a little bit more advanced because he's using almost like the hedge funds concept, but he using funds because he using capital from other different perspectives and other different investors. So he has to have a letter of intent on what he's going to do with the money because he can't just sit on the money. Then he can't have the money in his name. He got to try to avoid whatever tax implement any tax implications that may come from that. So I think his is a little bit more complex. That's why he has to come with a letter of intent. But for the standard person, if they do a 1031 exchange, that letter is not necessarily needed because you're given a time frame that you had to one have a contract on in like property at the same level or above, so light type property or above, and then you got to have a contract closed in 180 days.
Yeah.
So I
It's not
think
easy
that's
to
the
pull off.
difference, huh?
It's not always easy to pull off. I mean,
Right.
especially, the more money you spending, it could get tricky meeting those guidelines.
Right. So that's why with Grant, he's using a letter of intent because it's a lot more at stake and he's using other people's capital.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but the challenge is that a lot of these apartment deals, I think in some places the pocket deals are the sweetest ones, right? The
Yeah.
ones that they pass off to their friends before the transaction, before the ink is even dried on the sale, or when someone says, "Hey, listen, I'm interested in unloading so many units," and then they call up their buddy. They say, "Hey, look, I have an investor right here. He's ready to retire. He's ready to unload certain amount of units. Let me go ahead and call someone else who might be interested in subject property or said property." Then they go ahead and do the transaction right then before it even hits the MLS. So here you are, a green investor or a new investor, and you're trying to have a conversation about opportunities for you to start getting some of the bigger deals. I don't even know if with more money, if you have an actual opportunity to participate in the legitimately good deals coming down the pipeline, though. But
Right.
what do you guys think about pocket deals? Do you guys think that pocket deals are things that generally exist in the minority to the regular and average person, average investor, or do you think that it's something that is something that happens, that's common? Like a lot of the sweetest deals can end up on the MLS at some point or another.
Well, I think it depends on where you are in the market. You know what I'm saying? I think it depends on the type of market, but I still think in any market, there's definitely some sweeter deals that you got to know someone, or you've had to have probably done some transactions with a certain agent that they're like, yo, because the biggest thing about a lot of pocket deals is, there's like exclusive little deals that people that own them want to keep them off the market, and then for the real estate agent, it's all about someone they know is going to close. Like, not, you know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
they're building their relationship with this client who's like, can you get it done without me hitting the market? So the last thing is to come back and be like, "Oh, sorry, it's not going to work out." So you only want to pass it to someone who you know gets deals done. So, but I think those definitely exist. But I do think there's some sweet deals in any market cycle. But in certain types of market cycles, obviously, it gets easy. It gets easier than others. So,
Yeah.
depending on where you're at.
What do you think, Tim? You think that you agree?
I totally agree with that, because really the pocket deals is basically combining just traditional real estate and wholesaling. That's really
Yeah,
what it is. I
exactly.
mean, so really the pocket deals, the best pocket deal, Perry just mentioned it, is based off of the relationships in the network. And that's why it's so important that you have a good standing with the network, because you'll get more of the pocket deals come your way, because like Perry mentioned, they know that you can close and you ready to close because you are prepared at any given moment.
Right.
And I think that's really the key with pocket deals. Can you, if somebody was to call you 3 o'clock in the morning and say, I got this deal, we got to close in the morning at 10 a.m., can you do it?
Right.
And if you
Exactly.
can do that, then you can get more pocket deals.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
really what it boils down to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they can count on you even in a pinch,
Right.
and their buddy wants to be able to say, "Hey," I mean, because it makes everyone look good, right? It looks
Yep.
the person in the middle, the two people on the each end, and someone might be willing to take a little bit less if there's an opportunity for them to be able to get a little bit more skin in the game the second time around, or if someone's unloading even more, you know.
You find out that's why you're able to get a lot of good pocket deals with older couples or family members that inherit, a property, but they don't necessarily want to keep it up, or they don't really have no attachment to it. Those be some of the best pocket deals, because they're not really trying to make no money. They're just trying to really get rid of it, trying to avoid maybe a tax headache later or whatever the case may be. So they just trying to get it off, and the agent trying to keep a good rate and good standing, which makes sense. So the agent gonna make sure that they look for their most qualified candidate.
Yep.
They ain't gonna go to the person that say, "Well, it's my first time buying. What is a credit score?" They ain't gonna go to them. They just not.
Let me talk to my bank. Nope. Nope.
Nah, there's none of that. They're pretty much trying to figure out where can I wire the money to. Let me get my guy on the phone, right? So do you guys have anything else to share with us as it pertains to this, man? I mean, this is a wild story, and you know, it was really initially this is a David and Goliath story to me, where the little guy was having an opportunity to get the land back, and here they are celebrating here. They're celebrating being able to get the land back. Excuse me. Getting the land back. Everyone's celebrating, man. Everyone's celebrating. The senator's there. Here he is. Senator's there. The supervisors for the Los Angeles County are there. Everybody's celebrating. This is his cousin right here. This guy right here in the white. This is his cousin who's been advocating for the property. His name is Chief Dwayne Yellow Feather Shepherd. He's a spokesperson for the family. He's a cousin to the family. So he was there. They had dances there. It was a whole thing. They were there. Everybody's smiling. It's a good time. Hugging. They talked about how Sam's Cook, A Change Is Gonna Come, was playing. People were getting teary-eyed. It was just all good, man. It was all good. And then they said, "Hey,"
You like a change is gonna come, all right.
they said, "Hey, while you busy celebrating, let's make sure that you remember that we want to buy the property. We want to buy the property from you for no more than $20 million. We
That's
want to
that's
buy it for no more, not to exceed $20 million."
Oh, by
What
the way, did I tell y'all what it was worth? Oh,
Mm-mm.
because
the
here's the
assessed
deal.
value?
Yeah, matter of fact, I forgot. I went back and looked at some articles. Now the articles estimated it, and I was trying to verify that, but I did see a couple articles originally say that it was worth 75 million.
Yeah.
This was originally when all this happened. Now that could have also been kind of fluffing up. You know, that could have been kind of fluffing up things for the county, right? We're giving 75 million. So I don't know, but it said 75 million. Because that's the first thing I want to know when they said 20 million. And they made sure to put that cap on there. So yeah, I saw a figure of 75 million on multiple sites. So
But that sound, but if you just think about the math, Perry, from based off of the properties that you just researched, that sound about right.
yeah, I agree.
Cause you just look at the lowest was what? The lowest and closest was 1.9 million,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
smaller.
And they were real small.
It
Yeah.
was it was a fraction. I mean,
So when you really just do the math, it's that sound about right. Cause I kind of let 60, just taking a 1.9 for 30 years, that's 60 million.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, and then when you think about it, like I said, when you guys see the Google Maps of it, man, they're literally it's like having the only apple left in the whole state.
Right.
That
Right.
apple ain't gonna cost the same, or those eggs ain't gonna cost the same as normal eggs. That's it. There's no other place unless you get rid of like a little municipal park. There's no place else anywhere around for miles to basically build something. There's another lot where it looks like someone tore down something, but outside of that, that's the only place in basically in Manhattan Beach in that area that you're going to get anything. It's all covered up completely.
all right,
That's the
chat.
Crazy.
gold. That's the golden goose egg.
Right here,
Mhm.
chat. So this is what Perry's talking about right here, right? So this is the subject property right here. The subject property is right here. So this is the area we're talking about. You see, it's barren. There's nothing there, right? As you zoom out, there's no there's no area that has no structure on it. You said that you looked in Google Maps. Let me
Yeah,
see.
and you can literally see like the rooftops and everything when you get close, and it's crazy. I mean, it's nuts how there's literally nothing around it. I see something called like Dorsey Park or Dorsey Field, but I mean, that's basically it.
All right, here we go.
Everything's
Here we go.
everything's taken up.
Here we
Yeah,
go. Right.
just put in Bruce Beach, and then hit on the satellite down there. Hit on the little like layers, the satellite part.
All right, hold on. Let me get up here. Satellite, you said?
Yeah, and then I just typed in on the search, just hit put Bruce Beach in there, and it'll take you. I mean, it'll put you right on it.
All right, here we go. All right, Bruce Beach, and you said where?
Yeah, and then down there, you see the little image down there that says layers
Mm-hmm.
to your left, right there. Hit that and try to see if you can get yeah, right there. Now
There
zoom
you
in right
go.
there. Now you see that little spot right there.
That's the only green.
That's the only green, and you can when you zoom out, it. I mean, you can go as far as you want. That is the only green. Period. Because you can see the little lifeguard spot up there, but that's the only green right there. There's no other place to build anything.
I mean, look at that. No other areas. Dorsey
Every other
Park is the
thing that
nearest
says
one.
green,
Dorsey Field, and that's a
right? Every
baseball
other
field.
place that says green says like a field or says like
A park.
urgent care park. It's something that's like obviously dedicated, but that is literally the only place that you can build. It's just got to be a baseball field or like something like that, or the city owns it.
So imagine that. So now you're given the land, but you can't use it for anything.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean,
Nah, there's no way I'm fighting. I'm
even
fighting that. That land's worth too
Yeah.
much.
even if even if you were to,
Turn it into a parking lot.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
here's the crazy thing. Look at that parking
something.
lot right there.
Right.
There's a parking lot right there that they're using that they're using for a parking lot. I'm sure that's probably one of the other ones that they're probably going to be giving somebody else the same type of garbage deal on.
No, I mean that's county property right there.
Yeah,
Look,
but so that's not part of those other parcels. Um,
so well, no, because that's Strand. So that's Strand right here.
okay.
Hold up. Let's look. Let's see.
No, that is because that was Holland.
Hold up. What's Strand at?
Yeah, if you look, it's kind of weird. Highland's up there at the top, although it says 26th Street right there. Highland's up at the top. I think Strand is down. Strand is down there.
Strand
Strand is
was,
down there.
oh,
You see the
Strand.
lifeguard thing? Yeah.
Oh, hold on. You're right. Look, there we go, right there. All right, we go here. Strand's right there. Okay, hold on now.
So no, we were just looking at the wrong side. So the
Yeah,
lots is on this,
It's on the other side.
right.
hold on, guys. Hold on. I think we're looking at something wrong. All right, look, check it out. Here we go. Bam, where we at? Here. Okay, Manhattan. Hold on. What am I not seeing? Right here. That's where it's at. Right here. Why is that? You
No,
guys see
because
that?
you know what? You can put in, you can just type in Bruce Beach Lot 8, and it's going to put you right there. It's literally going to put you right on that sign that says Bruce Beach Historical Park, historical whatever. And then if you put in 9, I think it moves it.
No,
No, they're both in the same place. So yeah,
not
I'm
this is,
not
but
sure
this
which
is
one it
this
is.
is what's throwing me off right here, guys. Look, right here. When I look at this map right here, right.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at this map, you see Manhattan Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
Ocean Drive. What this is saying is this is between Strand and Ocean Drive. You guys see that?
Right.
Yeah,
This
I
is
see Manhattan Avenue. I don't see Strand where I'm looking. Oh, I see
Strand.
Strand right there.
Strand's at the very bottom.
So
Strand.
you
This is
said it's in
Strand
between Strand and where? And Ocean Drive?
right here. So
Oh,
yeah,
never mind. Oh crap. So it's the one right on the beach then. It's literally
man.
the lifeguard building then.
So why is the sign all the way up here?
I think that's just that whole area is like a historical park. But if it's between Strand and Ocean, then that's it because yeah, that's it. I didn't realize that. It's the actual beachfront property. Oh hell no.
This is cream.
Mm-mm.
This is
Yeah.
cream.
Yeah, but
So
look up
so
there. Look at
now
Strand. Look,
now we really at about 18 million.
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. I
So
mean,
okay, so
so
that makes sense why now they were saying like 75 million because Strand is that front street on the beach,
right there on the beach.
and then
And
Ocean's the one right behind it. So okay, so see, I thought that they own the other pieces as well, and they very well may. But yeah, it's literally that like you can see the lifeguard place right there.
Uh,
So it literally is that lifeguard building that we're talking about.
so
and
you know
I
what
thought
they
it was
really
what
done?
behind it, but it's that lifeguard building.
They threw you off because they put this sign back on the property that's not really Bruce
Right.
area.
exactly, right?
Right.
Man, that's some deceitful shit.
Listen, I
Right.
mean, can you imagine that for me? Because I'm sitting up here saying, I'm like, hold up, this is not adding up. I'm
Yeah,
just,
me too. The whole time I was looking, just because the way those lots look, I was like, yeah, something's crazy. And I was like, okay, so maybe they actually own,
all of
that
that.
front part outright where the lifeguard place is at. But no, that's actually it. That's crazy.
So going back to this property right here, right?
So I guarantee you what I think. This is what I think. Just kind of putting all the pieces together. I
Mhm.
think that they really found out that they had an opportunity to be able to gain that land without the county even getting involved. So they went back and said, "Well, we're gonna offer it to them, and then we're gonna force their hand so we keep it."
I mean,
I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
I
with the
think they
city,
identified it may been some gray areas where they can get that land. They could actually just snatch it back if they knew what they was doing. But they found the county found out before anybody else was able to really identify it. So that's why they created a contract and forced their hand. They had 2 years to make a decision. That's what I think happened.
I mean, let me
yeah.
see. If we were to say, if I was counting blocks, 1, 2,
It's
13,
kind of like
14,
we
15,
exposed.
16.
Oh snap! We got to do something.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
I,
crazy.
I mean, that's oceanfront property right there, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's oceanfront. I mean, this address for this lot is not too far different from this address right here. I mean, that's literally one block difference. I mean, they're ocean. Hold up, no, hold on, guys, hold on. It's the same exact block. It's the same exact block. It's the same row right here. This house right here is on the same block as this right here.
Oh, it is the one. It is.
It's the same exact block. Where's it at?
Yeah, something about that. Like you can't trust it.
It's the same block right here. Where we at? Right there. There's the lifeguard. It's the same exact block. Man, I wouldn't sell that. The fact that they even have that structure on there, you could just rent that thing out, use it for something else, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It already has the plumbing. It has the plumbing already done. It has the electricity already running to it.
Yes, that's crazy. That is crazy.
I was thinking this was the grass, guys. I was thinking it was here, and I was saying, man, for you to get services, ran to. Oh, hold on, you guys can't see nothing. Struggle streaming. I was sitting up here thinking, I was like, oh man, you'd have to get this dug up, get the sewage, get the water supplied to it. But man, it's actually this building right here.
Yeah, it's that building. That's crazy. That is crazy.
I've been struggle streaming the whole time. Listen, I don't know, guys. What do you guys think? Do you guys now, given the information that we have now, because that house that I just showed you guys, this house right here on Strand, this house is on 2,900. So what did we say, Tim? We said that this is 3,000 square feet. You said each lot was about 3,500, Perry?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So that's 18,000. That could be 18,000 times 2, 36,000, give or take. And then all those years of not having access to that land. So that's 40 million, just with some rough estimations.
So just one lot right now, 1 year, that's 20 million.
Yeah. Yeah, no way. Well, that's why, I mean, think about it. If they were going to sell anything, even if you know nothing, you say, well, I might sell one tract of it. Here's the thing. I'm not giving that land. Me, though, too, I may not be in the same place they are as far as my line of thinking, but if my ancestors had that, right, and it also depends on their intent for me, right? Because it's like, for example, my aunt's got a couple homes. She leaves those, and her intent is for them never to leave the family they want, period. Because that's her intent. They'll stay in the family, and they'll generate income and do whatever her intent is. So if my family's intent was to take the money and go, maybe, but I just think these are the things that people always talk about, right? These are the things people in the Black community always talk about. And then when the opportunity comes, you take the money and you run. So I just think it's a shame, man. And I think they got bamboozled.
Yep.
I mean, to me, that's like, if I'm going in the grocery store tonight and someone's like, oh, you see that Lamborghini? You can take it for $20. Something's fishy about, something's not right. You know what I'm saying? So when they got somebody shoving paperwork in their face to sign, and also saying, hey, we've had it 100 years, but we're going to give you 2 years. Not to mention, you got the pandemic going on at that time, right? You make this decision real quick. We're gonna give you 2 years, and you got to decide. It's just, I wonder if they used a lawyer. I really wonder if they used a lawyer. I would hope.
I showed you guys the lawyer. This is what the lawyer said.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, that dude worked for the county. That dude works for the county.
The lawyer said, he said,
what's his name?
His name is Fathery, right? He
right,
says his
yeah.
name is George Fathery, right? He says that he emphasized the sale was a victory for the Bruce descendants, who would no longer have the land that their grandparents were robbed of, but instead the money they should have inherited, right? He says what was stolen from the family was property, but what the property represented was the ability to create, preserve, and grow and pass down generational wealth. By allowing family now to have certainty in selling this property to the county, taking the proceeds of that sale and investing it in their own futures, that's restoring some of what the family lost, said attorney. right? I said, I think we all need, he says, we all need to respect the family's decision to know what's in their best interest. That's what he said. We need to respect it.
That
We need to
sound like
respect their respect their decision, guys. Come on. Let
that's
them
almost like a public assistant accountant. I
That's
mean, no,
are you
not
talking about
account.
public defender?
Yeah, public defender.
that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy.
But I think it's a real good takeaways from this. Um, I think the a big takeaway is, but that's why I think it's just so important that we start getting an understanding of these type things, because we never know when these type opportunities, or even it could be your current family, uncle, aunt may leave you with something. But you got to be prepared to be able to maintain and take care of. If nothing else, go get professional advice. But I think too many times, because we always say that it's the system, it's the this, it's the that. But then when the opportunities present ourselves and there's money involved, we seem to lose all issues with that stuff, and we just go with the money.
Right. Yeah,
And
I
I
agree.
get it.
The
And
low hanging fruit, the easy money. But
right.
man, I mean, from the time that they agreed to transfer the property, like I showed you guys here, from what I showed you guys here, from the time they agreed to the property right here, they said that you agree that the total monies that would be contributed towards this property is $21.5 million. The sale price is not to exceed $20 million. The associated transaction cost by themselves are $1.5 million, not to exceed a total contribution of $21.5 million. Now, they stated where the monies would come from, which budget it would come from, but this is the actual agreement that they signed. This is when it was adopted, June 28, 2022, and who it was recommended by, and it had all the different parties who were involved in it. This is something I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave the link to this agreement. This is the actual agreement. This is the person who oversaw it. These are the attorneys that oversaw it. County counsel right there. The entire document.
I was going to say, if they got standard real estate fees, probably a big deal like that, even if it was in between 2 and 3%, that's 400,000 to 600,000. Of course, I'm sure it's in the agreement though. But
I mean, that by itself, like I said, it went up. It went up. It went up by itself. $1.5 million. Just the transaction by itself. But like I said, like you guys said, like there's all this discussion about generational wealth, legacy, 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 and then, like you just said, Tim, our part is to make sure we're fit and we're ready to be able to take down opportunities that we may inherit, take down opportunities that we may be able to make to ensure that we're in position to pay the taxes for any properties that we inherit, because that's just crippling by itself. It's almost like, to me, I'm starting to associate like the whole world of finance with just general fitness in general, right? If you have to run for an extended period of time, you're not going to be able to run a long distance only when you need to. You need to be training ahead of time in order for you to be in position for you to be able to run for an extended period of time. It could be the end of the world. It's some apocalyptic times that we could come up against, and we need to be in position to be able to do something like that in the same exact way with finance that we would need to from our physical standpoint. So I think that, like you said, Tim, it's very, very important that you do everything in your power to make sure you're in position, that you're not going to miss out on an opportunity for you to get multi-million dollars worth of land, because the celebration doesn't matter. The celebration doesn't matter if it means that shortly thereafter you're going to be giving up the property. I mean, it doesn't matter to me how much we celebrate. It doesn't matter who comes to celebrate with us. It doesn't matter who comes to commemorate the work that's been done. And there was an advocacy group that actually did all the work. here to make sure that this family is going to receive their land. In addition to these other lots of land right here. So these other lots, the same advocacy group is going to fight for them to be able to gain access to that.
Yep.
What's wild, what's really, really wild is this part right here. The whole time I'm sitting up here saying, this is the Bruce's Beach right here. That's what I'm saying. The Bruce's Beach is here. Not understanding that the actual property they had was down here, beachfront. Right here at the very front. I'm thinking it's up here. It's 4 blocks, 3 blocks away from the street. No, this is Oceanside. This is it right here at the beach. Wow.
Oh, so check this out. I do want to give dude props. Apparently they say he actually did that for them for free. So the guy that's helping him sell it, apparently they're saying that's all he does is work like that. Now he gets paid, but apparently this guy does a lot of stuff like that. When he sees something's not right, he kind of helps to kind of make stuff right. Like, I guess he's the same guy that helped recover some like old stuff from like for Ebony and Jet magazine that were like archives that they wouldn't let them get their hands on or something like that. But here's what's interesting. So, and you might have touched on this earlier when I was having some technical difficulties. This says what really happened basically in 1924. It was eminent domain, but it's just because the neighbors didn't like them there. It's just simple as that. They said they didn't like them there, and they voted to condemn the beach. As simple as that. People in the town voted to condemn it, so they took over with eminent domain to build a park, and it sat empty for decades. So that's what that is. I mean, it's literally, that's just a park, right, is what they built. And then it says when that originally happened, they had asked, now they just took it from them, but they asked 5 years later, they had asked for $70,000 for the property and $50,000 for damages. And it says they gave them, they were awarded $14,500 in 1929. And that's it.
Yeah. So, yeah. And the property was demolished before they could really do a full assessment, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, what a shame. You know what? I don't think you can knock them. At the end of the day, man, I don't want to knock them for just, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody's really equipped to handle that, but I think the biggest lesson is just, if faced with a situation like that, definitely think long term, especially when it deals with like your ancestors and stuff. I mean, if they put it there, you should be thinking, how can I make this work for, I want this money to come down the line. I mean, if I can have this 100 years from now and I can somehow be drawing in hundreds of thousands of dollars, that suits us way better than taking 20 million and running, so that's the way. But I don't, you don't want to be too hard on them, but we just see the same thing happen over and over again. And it's unfortunate. I mean, you can ask somebody on the street right now, would you rather have 10,000 or would you rather have $10,000 right now, or I'll give you, $500 a month, for the next 30 years. You'd be surprised how many people would take the 10,000. Not me. I'll take the 500 a month. But it's just how people think. They're not long-term thinkers and stuff like that. So,
yeah, man, I agree with you. And that's on the spot. This is what On the Spot said. On the Spot says, I said, this is an incredible story. It's quite surprising that they've decided to sell. And I agree, I agree. I think that it's a tough, that the whole Cinderella story, the whole David and Goliath story that's centered around a city for the first time ever, guys, in the whole country, where a county actually admitted to taking someone's land, and they are actually transferred the land back into at least the legal heirs of the previous property owner, but then they agreeing to also pay them rent every single month for said land. Now the lease is for 2 years, but if you have a lifeguard training facility, who's going to say that they're going to be able to easily just move that facility into another place around the county and not be able to and not continue to rent out that land. I mean, I think it's a tough position to take on, but I don't know. Would on 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 a spot, would you, which one would you have done if you had the choice to be paid $430,000 annually? And I calculated it. That's about $34,000, 34,400 every single month, or the option for you to sell it for $20 million within 2 years. Which one would you do? I'd be curious to hear. It sounds like you wouldn't do two, but this is the property right here. I'm going to share. This is the property right here. The property is right here where the lifeguard station is at. Right here. This is where the property is at. And the map is misleading. This Google map is misleading because it says the Bruce's Beach. It says it's up here, but it's actually here, right here where the lifeguard place is at. And this is the lot right here, 8 and 9. Strand is this street right here, and this is where Strand Street. North the Strand, right here.
Man, I know it sounds crazy. The only way I'm walking away from that is if they're going to find a way to give me the zoning and build me condos on that green lot, on those green lots back there. I'm not walking away from that land. I'm not just up and walking away from that prime real estate right there, period. Because I know I'm not getting the best deal. I know that what they're offering me is not the best deal. Now, if it's a fight if you're in a position where you're not ready to fight that fight, I fully understand. But nah, I don't think you can take when you wrong someone like that. I don't think you get to. I mean, it's a nice gesture, but to come to the table and say, "Here's a deal, you'll take this," I don't like that, man. Now you can still do a lot with 20 million, right? Obviously, but like we said, capital gains taxes. I mean, just so much nuance to it.
I mean,
yeah, and Tim, I'm gonna jump in real quick.
Go ahead, Tim.
We got to remember, it wasn't 413,000 for their life. It was 413,000 up until the max they was gonna pay was 20 million. Either way.
Oh, I got you.
But I mean, okay, Tim. So let's say that they just do it for 2 years, right? What other options do they have for this lifeguard training facility? You know.
You talking about the state or the
county? The county, yeah.
The county.
Yeah, I mean, because this building's still here, whether
right.
You know, so I mean, for me, that sweetens the deal to me. Compared, like if I'm looking at
I see exactly what you're
what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. Because I'm already thinking that little parking lot. Look, that little parking lot, y'all get rid of that, and y'all gonna put them cars behind your building. Because if y'all are gonna stay on this lot, I'm gonna have a house or something or some condos on the other side where you got them cars right there. But there is no option where you guys keep this. They should be the ones that are, like you're saying, they're the ones backed into a corner. They don't have a lot of options, but they're treating it like the people they give it back to are in the corner, you know?
Yeah, because the building is still there. I mean, for me, the challenging question that I personally had is if the land was this green area. And I said, how in the world are we going to run sewage? I mean, it's going to cost a lot of money for me to be able to run sewage, water, electricity, run the other utilities into this area. But if there's a structure already there, then we know something is running into this area, right? Water, electricity, sewage, something's already running here. So we could just easily tap into it. And we can't say that there's no opportunities for you to tap into it right here at the street too by itself, So, I mean, I'm no developer, but I mean, I've been told that if there's something there, somehow or another, the facilities or there's a public restroom there. So, I mean,
yeah, there's a restroom there. There's definitely water there. There's no doubt. It's a functioning. It's definitely functioning, no doubt.
All right.
And let's face it, with these blocks as close as they are, there's water and electricity everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's so class. There's stuff to tap into anywhere.
Yeah, the developing on that is too many. It's residential all around. So
yeah, right. Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah,
all they're gonna do is type the current. They're just gonna tap the current lines that's under the ground. That's all they're gonna do.
I don't think they can make the argument that they can't zone it residential at this point, honestly, because there's so much. I mean, even if, because what they said was that as part of the agreement for them to be able to transfer it over, they were supposed to allow unrestricted use of the land and unrestricted ownership. This is what Owner Spot stated. She said that, she says, I would have kept the land, hired a developer partner to do the work to make it income producing, and held the land forever. Right? That's what I would say that we're saying here, right? Because let me show you Owner Spot. Let me show you what something else that's comparable that's on that same exact lot.
What they should have done was just said, look, we're going to give you straight off the top. You know, we did them wrong. We're going to give you $20 million for it. Don't even give it back to them and do all this shenanigans. You know, maybe they want the option to get it back, but it's like, stop with all the parading around. Just pay them money if you're going to do them like that. Just pay them money.
I mean, because it's like you're making it seem like you gave them options, but really you didn't give them no option. So
Right.
on the spot, this is what's possible on that same lot, right? So this parcel right here, I want to say, okay, all right. So this parcel right here is on the same, it's on the same row as our subject property. This is on, let's say, maybe 14th place or in between 14th and 15th, right? So our subject property is here. Our subject property is here, here, here. So it's here, and then the property I'm comparing it to is there. So our subject property is here, and then I'm comparing it to here. So let's look at this property right here. Right? This lot size is 2,900, 3,000 square feet, right? 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 4,500 square feet, $18.25 million today. This house was built in 2008. House is beautiful, by the way, right? So this is something that they could have on only maybe one lot. Only one lot. You know, there's a little bit of space on both sides, but this is what's possible on that same exact plot of land. This house is beautiful. And to know that you could potentially get $18 million for just one lot, and that's you using it in this specific manner. And it's oceanfront property. There's the ocean right there. There's only maybe like a small bike path that's right there in front. But beyond that, you're looking at the sand right there. I mean, you might as well, you know, oversee your family on the beach while you are sitting on the porch. There you go, right there. There's a shot right there that shows how close it is to the beach. So this is how close that subject property is to the ocean. And there's, I don't know. I couldn't, knowing that, I don't know, man. It's, I mean, there's only enough, there's no vehicles that can go here. Maybe at best, maybe a golf cart or something like that. But there's no vehicles that can travel on that street right there. And man, I mean, this is a beautiful house. And this is hands down the most expensive property that I'm able to see here. And it's just a wild situation where I don't get, all right, let's see. I don't get exactly what's going on. Yeah, all right. So, you know, it's just one of those situations, Perry, that I think that, you know, it's a wild time, and all we can do is put ourselves in position. All we can do is put ourselves in position to take down these properties, man. Because if we don't put ourselves in position to take down these properties, man, we're going to continue to be counted out. Taxes will continue to be an impediment. They'll always keep us from being able to gain access to things that we're entitled to. I don't know no other way to really fashion the argument, because you have to be in position. If you're not in position to take the opportunity down, I mean, what does it count? I mean, all that celebrating, all the people coming and singing, I mean, it looks good, but we could be getting $18 million for just one property. And this property was built in 2008. Go ahead. What were you saying, Perry?
Yeah, I want to mention too, and I'm pretty sure the same thing happened in Amelia Island, Florida, which is not far from Jacksonville, 45 minutes, maybe hour from Jacksonville. very similar story. That happened. Same thing basically. But now I don't. They didn't give the land back, right? But I'm not sure exactly. I don't want to conflict the stories, but it's a similar type of story. Now, and I think I don't know if they took it or they might have ended up getting it back and selling it. I can't remember, but it's just to let people know these things. They've. I mean, as far as the nature of giving it back, no, it does not happen like that. But these things of land being taken, I think we all know that it's happened for years, obviously. So it
Yeah,
happened many times over.
and it's really important. This goes back to that preparation. You know, it's just understanding that you have to be in position. You have to be financially fit. And your financial fitness comes in the form of you being a steward of your money today, doing what you can to be in position today, because the constant distractions that keep people from being in position to be able to take down these deals. You know, you can find yourself easily in a situation where the taxes alone uh, because what you say, Perry, earlier for that $18 million property? How much did you say the taxes were?
Yeah, with like those school assessments on there, it looked to be about $76,000.
So here we go, guys. Go back here. We're gonna go back here. So here for this property right here, because before it seemed like we were having an apples to oranges conversations, right? But upon further investigation, it became clear that we're actually having an apples to apple conversation, right?
Yeah, on the same block, right?
Right. So you said it was about seventy six
So it
million
looks like,
dollars.
yeah, it had been 30, it had been 35,000 at one point, right? But then it looks like in 2016 they did some type of special assessment for like schools, and that took it from a half a percent, the tax rate up to up to what be 1.09%, which puts it around $76,000 annually.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I mean, it just goes to show that we just can't get caught up in all this celebrating. You know, we need to really have someone. Even the whole idea of you not being able to have legal counsel. So let's say this guy does this for free, right?
Right.
Like, how much can he really advocate for you? And like, I understand he's free, but he's one person. And how much time does he really have for him to commit to pro bono work or work that he's doing, for the sake of doing a good deed?
Right. And what I saw actually said, I think it was like a firm that he worked with on it, and they put in maybe over 1,000 hours, but also it showed one of them, it might have been him that was moving to like Sydney, but the other guy I think on the is like maybe ran for like some membership. I don't know what it was, but he was running for something else or going somewhere else. So it seemed like a lot of moving parts. And like you say, man, that's a lot of time that it takes to be devoted to that. And you just have to be willing. That's why I think you have to keep yourself in position, right? When things happen. And it's no different than you may be cruising down the road or may have went to work fine last week or this week or whatever, but you got to be prepared for a flat tire, and I mean, let's face it. Some people ride around on donuts for months. There's a reason why they're not prepared for a flat tire. You got to be prepared to get a tire, and you don't want to be in a situation where it's like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get this new tire. You got to be prepared, and in this situation, and I don't know the family situation, but also since they had been fighting to get that land back, there should have obviously been some preparation, right? Let's be preparing and just know that, hey, because you may have to fight a battle anyway. It just so happened to work out in their favor. But yeah, the situation is definitely a tough one. I mean, and there's some positive to it, right? Let's not forget 20 million is nothing to scoff at, but um you look at how their family members had to basically, I mean, pass away not getting what they had, what was rightfully theirs, and it's a tough situation.
Yeah, Tim. So in seeing that, let me show you guys this right here. Yeah, I think it's a really you're right. I don't think that we should specifically scoff at the $20 million, and it's easy for us to say, "Hey, you guys passed up on the opportunity. You guys passed up on the opportunity for you to have this generational wealth that we talk about all the time." Um, but let me show you guys. This is who we're talking about right here. This is the family we're talking about right here, right? Bruce family 2018. Bruce family returns to its former beach, right? That $20 million is supposed to be the gentleman that's in the white right here. The gentleman that's in the white right here is the same gentleman that's right there. You see him? Can you guys? Let me see. Right there. That's him. You see, he's got that same fist up, right? He likes to put that fist up. Salute to him, right? That's him right there, right? So that's the whole family right there, man. So salute to them. I think that their story is really, really unique, and I think that when I first heard this story last year, like you all, I said the same thing. I said, man, this is a beautiful story of an opportunity for a family to actually get their just due, and to be given the opportunity for them to take back ownership of something that was taken away from them. And now they can have an opportunity to decide their destiny and figure out exactly what's going to happen. But I in no way thought that this same exact family would make a decision either through circumstance or through sheer force for them to go ahead and sell it.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because now the younger generations won't have an opportunity to do any more than just visit this land right here, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
they came from Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, Florida, Michigan, and the District of Columbia. A few arrived from Northern California. Several just drove down from Los Angeles. Most had never seen the hallowed plot of land the family proudly owned in Manhattan Beach nearly a century ago. But they've heard the story of Charles and Wilma Bruce, who built a beautiful oceanside resort for African Americans only to face threats from the Ku Klux Klan and finally have the land taken away by city fathers in 1924. So this whole family, I'll leave the link to this article right here with this family. You know, this family represents all families. You know, and I've seen this happen, and we've talked about this before. I've talked about this before here locally. You had people who received houses as part of inheritance, and they don't have the ability to be able to pay the taxes. And then you have you have the um, code enforcement departments that end up just penalizing. They can't pay the taxes. Then they lose the property as a result of not being able to pay the taxes. I don't know. It's not my position to tell people what to do, but I think that, just like you need to be physically fit, we need to be financially fit for us to be able to benefit, because this property is supposed to be an example of what generational wealth looks like. But what good is generational wealth if you can't maintain it or keep it, whenever you're awarded with it? And it's just like they do, like I said before, just like any one of these contestants on TV. You go to The Price is Right, you're awarded $50,000 in prizes. You need to be able to pay taxes before you can take that prize home with you. It's a similar situation. You need to be able to pay the $140,000 in taxes for this property to be maintained. Otherwise, you go ahead and sell it to us.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, I'll drop the link to see if anyone wants to come up, has anything to say on the spot. I'd be interested to have you up here. I know that you're a real estate a real estate lady yourself. Let me see if I can get this. Do you guys have anything to? Let me see if I can do this. We are struggle streaming. All right, let me see. I will go here. Let's see. Go here. I'm able to pin. Okay. All right. Anyone interested in coming up? If I don't know you, I'm not familiar with you. I definitely need you to. All right. Let me see. Let me see. All right. Okay. Okay. No problem. No problem. No problem. All right. So Tim, do you have any closing remarks for us? I'll drop the link real quick to see if anyone's interested in coming up. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and close. Tim, what are your thoughts? What do you think? What are some lessons that you believe that we can learn from this right here?
I think the lessons we should learn from this is one, um, just be mindful of the decision you make and take time to think it through. Big decisions, always you need to find someone that you can really you honor their opinion, and then bounce your idea or that decision with someone that you really value their opinion, that has proven that they have some level of financial understanding, they did some things financially. The next thing is just know whatever your decision is, think about the outcome. Think about how can it affect you right now, but also looking in the future, think about the future, the decision you make now, how it's going to affect you in the future. And then the last thing I think from this is it just goes to show how I think we just got to continue to get back to making sure that we do our part by having some level of understanding of finances, because we don't know when we may get our windfall. So if you was to be presented with a windfall, the question is, how would you respond? And you should think about that because you never know when that may happen. So you should be prepared for it. So I don't think it's necessarily really a right or wrong, because their situation was their situation. That probably worked for them. But I think for us that work in the financial space, we identify so many different things that the average person may not necessarily consider. So just remember, it's not necessarily right or wrong, but it's a better way, a good way, and a best way that you can do things. And we want to make sure that we try to do the best way possible so we can have the best outcome. And always think about, let's benefit right now today, but we also can plan for we can have a benefit in the future. That's what I would say.
And where can we find you, Tim?
Oh, and yes, you can find me at the Intentional Millionaire. You can definitely check out my channels, and it's called The Intentional Millionaire. And over there, we talk about financial concepts. We talk about some of the things that we kind of shared tonight on the channel. But we also talk about why it's important to have some financial understanding, so that way you can make the quick decision, the best decisions, but also because you need to become, in my opinion, that person in your family that people can come to be able to at least make level-headed decisions. And not necessarily, and I say level-headed, meaning you be able to make decisions that gonna have that you could benefit right now today, but also have the better outcomes in the future.
Salute, salute. All right. So Perry, I'll go ahead and get you. Allow you to go ahead and make any closing remarks, sir.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out, I did, because I was just trying to check that $75 million figure. It looks like a bunch of outlets were saying that, but but they were saying later they don't know where they got that figure from. There was a house, and they actually gave the address to it, that did sell in 2020 for it's like 6,900 square feet, and it sold for 17.7 million. So I don't know, they're saying that was comparable, but I think the question is you just have to look at, like, that property we looked at. It's got to be up there on that, right there up on the beach. But ultimately, I still think that I still think props should be given to the county to some degree. They didn't have to give it back, right? At the end of the day, regardless of kind of how it played out, they didn't have to give it back. What was their motivation? It's hard to really get down to it. And I think some props for the family for just, trying to fight and pretty much everyone involved. But I think the big lesson, like Intentional touched on, is basically whenever these things, you got to make sure you have people you can trust and have people in your corner. So when these things happen, you can ask the right people so that you're making the best decision. Because if nothing else, you really got to weigh out what are your intentions. Is it long term for the future, for the family, or is it just to kind of take the money and run? And what are you going to do with that 20 million? Is that going to be split between everyone? I mean, so to me, I just think it would have probably been better because, that's how fights and stuff could come. I think it would have been better just really getting the land and putting it to work for yourself and being able to do for the family and do for, the future. But it is what it is. And, but no, this is a good story because these types of things happen more times than not. And I was looking at some pictures of the family and, even just looking at how they used to dress back then, man, we've fallen a long way, man. They look all spiffy and stuff, and it just shows when they bought the land and stuff like that. But great story, man. I love discussing stuff like this.
Where can we find you, Perry?
Yeah. So PerryUnlikely is my channel name. Definitely talk about crypto. Majority crypto currency and just all things related to that, and just enjoy obviously having these financial discussions.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Perry.
No doubt, man.
I appreciate you, Perry. I'm gonna drop you down for a second.
All
So
right.
yeah, so we've discussed a lot tonight, and this is a David and Goliath story, like I said earlier, and this family needs to be given grace because like Perry stated, the county did not have to give the land back, and the county did not have to make no offers for the land, even for the purpose of a sale, So the we oftentimes have to make very difficult decisions, and sometimes the decisions benefit us and sometimes they don't benefit us as much as the other, but it's important that we do whatever we can while we're here, while we're living, to put ourselves in position. And if not us being in position, we need to do what we can to put our children in position, because this can happen to any family. This is any family. It's not just them. This is any family. This could be my family. This could be your family. This is just another example of a family who missed out on an opportunity to gain access to their family land, and their land is currently being utilized for lifeguards location, but it's right here. It's beachfront property, and over here on the other side is what is being represented at Bruce's Beach. But in actuality, right here, it's right here, beachfront property, prime real estate. So we need to make sure that we take out the time to really give them grace and say, hey, what would you do in this situation if you came across an instant windfall, and would you be in position to be able to pay the taxes that are assessed on that property? And I'm Sincere, and on this platform, our goal is to take opportunities and lessons that other people learn and use those as opportunities for us to grow and learn from them. And maybe the goal is to be able to at least logically think how we would address that situation if we were to be put in those same exact scenario, and figure out how we're going to be able to navigate opportunities for us to be able to win. I mean, this is a dream for you to be able to get millions of dollars worth of land, but then are you in position to be able to pay the taxes on it? Can you afford for you to be able to do the permitting and zoning there? It's difficult. And really, if you're a commercial landlord, you're really in partnership with the county. You need to have city inspectors and county inspectors who are able to come there and assess your property without having no tension in any gripes with you. So it's a difficult situation to really work through, and I appreciate all of you that came through and checked it out. I'd be interested to hear what anyone who's checking out the replay, I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say, because I mean, what would you do if you were posed with choosing between $413,000 for 2 years guaranteed, and then deciding whether or not you sell the property for $20 million, or you take the risk of potentially not knowing what's going to happen? So I'll go ahead and say that I appreciate you all. Our goal is to go to the next level. We want to get to our next goal, 500 subscribers, and to get our watch hours up. So take a look at some of my older content, and you'll see where some of my conversations. And the goal is to grow and to go to the next level. But until next time, peace.